Hello everyone, in today's episode we will be dipping our toes a bit into homebrew, specifically talking about how you can begin to design the layout of your own game world.
Now, homebrewing can be a bit intimidating and definitely a daunting task. Hopefully, we can help you start out with a few quick ideas. I'm Eugene.
And I'm Eddie, and welcome to another episode of
The
Middle-Aged Barbarians.
Here on Middle-Aged Barbarians, we'd like to cover a wide range of topics, from tips and tricks on how to run your games, class and monster analysis, media, adventure reviews, and news updates. So whether you are new to the RPG scene or a seasoned player, an aspiring DM in the making, or a jaded veteran like us,
Stick around to watch this pair of guys be barbaric and tear your boredom to shreds.
Now, the first thing I would suggest figuring out exactly is what kind of game or what length of a game you're going to be running.
Yeah, as usual, there are three typical lengths, which would be the one-shot, a short adventure, or an open-ended campaign.
Yeah, and depending on which game you're going to be running is the amount of time and stuff you would invest in actually homebrewing and making your own world. One shot, you really don't have to put much work other than, designing maybe a sort of dungeon or a semi-elaborate town for everything to happen if it's like an urban setting or something.
In general, that's a very good point. Building a sort of base of operations, like an urban center, and whatever you need around it.
Yeah, that's like the easiest way to start. Now, if it's a short adventure, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 sessions, sort of. Then if you have the idea of what the adventure is going to entail, you'll have key spots where the story will go. Where it starts, where it grows, and where it'll end. And then that would be the keys to what you'd have to focus on in order to make.
Yeah, in general, it doesn't make much sense to go to more than one location during a session. So basically, that would be at the most 4 locations. Why? Because traveling is supposed to be a little bit special, in a way. So going to too many places doesn't really make sense. I don't know if you agree with me on that side.
Well, I think it's if there's a reason to the traveling, then I would give it more of an attention. If the traveling isn't particularly important to the actual story, then I'll just do like an ellipse or something and speed through it. It really depends on the moment in the game and what's been going on.
Yeah, but in general, even for short adventures, you just need maybe, like we said, the base of operations, a starting point, and another adventure spot, and then the ending spot.
And the climax.
So basically, that's it. To follow the arc structure.
Yeah, now, a long campaign, I think, is where it gets a lot trickier. I was thinking about this, and I thought 3 ways that I would go about doing it, or that we've actually done in one moment or another. I think this is more your approach, which would be like the minimalistic approach.
For sure.
Start out small. You go in adding extra details as they are needed, as they start coming up in the world. Like I said, just do the city, do the dungeon, and then you go from there. Now, this will take a lot of improvisational skills,
which is my case,
and a lot of note taking.
Yeah, and also a good tip for when you do this is you can set up some mysterious stuff for the future, and you figure it out later. Like, for instance, you say, "Oh, there's the capital," but you haven't defined actually how the capital is, what it has. You just say, "Oh, in the capital, it's a mystical place where I don't know, it's paved with gold."
I don't know if you were ever into like Age of Empires, Age of Mythology, or that type of strategy game.
Only the Dune one.
But I'm sure there's a term that you're familiar with, which is the fog of war.
Yeah, exactly. That's the fog of war.
That is basically like the idea behind this is just you have vision on this little section of the map, and then if you go over to the right, the fog of war will open up, and you can see what's there. And then you invest like on a need to go. But again, sometimes many times your players.
Most of the time, actually.
they're gonna do something you weren't expecting them to do. So you need to be quick on your toes there.
Yeah, for sure. Like I always said, the time they decided to change the campaign from a traveling adventure to just staying in the same town. So you have to put some more emphasis in what originally was just a spot you were going on the way. You have to make it a full thing now.
Now, the second option that I wrote down to share is the full-blown, like the full Monty. Just
build
do
every day.
Everything. draw out the maps, decide what the names of the kingdoms, what the political systems are, their economic systems, conflicts, history, if you want to go back and decide why everything is the way it is, lines of commerce, communication between the continents or kingdoms. You can even go as so far as to design their emblems and their everything. Just go full out. And I know a couple people that go on Fiverr, which is like I don't know if it's still active or not.
Yeah, it's still active. Yeah, it's a freelancer site.
And they would hire her to actually write stories of kingdoms for campaigns.
Oh, that's insane. That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, so she was telling me, no, I accepted a job to write this history of a kingdom and design 500 years of history. So you don't have to do it yourself. You can maybe hire somebody to do it for you.
The sketch that's interesting.
And then
this is very interesting. The only risk with this is the risk of railroading, I guess.
Well, I think the complete opposite. I think if you manage to have the whole world structured out like a giant sandbox,
the players can be free.
The players will be there regardless of what happens. The world keeps going. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, you already know what's happening in the world. Now, what they do and the way they interact and
how it changes everything.
Would be interesting, right?
Do you think it removes some flexibility from the players to changing important stuff? I guess that's the only thing you should actually be aware that you let them change a little bit of history.
History or make history?
Make history, sorry.
Yeah, change history? No, I don't.
Well, maybe if you have time travel.
Okay. Yes, then maybe. If you have time travel in the game, then yes, you can change stuff around. But now what's the problem with this? For a person like me who is obsessive, hyper-focused, and just goes all in when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm going to be lost for hours and hours and hours and hours, which for me is cool. And then I'll have a big, just like a big binder full of stuff. And what will suck or may suck is
nobody will see it ever.
Yeah, I'll use maybe a tenth of what was written out, and then everything else just
the players
gets
decide we're just going to hang out in the tavern, in the starting city. That's all we're going to do.
Yeah, so that's kind of a risk. If you're into that kind of activity, I think it's a great creative process. Go for it. Even if you don't use anything, or even if you don't use everything, you have stuff left over, then you can rehash that and then do something else on that side and just mix and match with other groups or different tables and stuff, and that should work out cool. Now, what I do like doing, and I've been doing this with my last, is the third option. It's kind of I wouldn't say a mix, but it's somewhere in between, where you start off with a big idea, but you do small details. I just drew up, for example, like the main continents. I decided what were the important places that I kind of needed to have fleshed out and that I would have them start in, and then just put other little dots and blips on the map and this will be a city here and then this here, and they just kind of think. What always gets me, I don't know if you have any ideas on this, is like the economic structures, not a whole full-fledged thing, but like, why is this city here or why is this town here?
I get you.
Because if we're
so the players can buy healing potions, right?
Well, would they have healing potions? Is it a small farming village? Is it a lumber town? Is it a mining area?
Yeah, what's the reason why they're there, of course?
So that's kind of like my thought process behind this is, well, this is a big kingdom. This is a small kingdom. This is just a place that has these resources at hand. How are they taking these resources?
Yeah, for instance, maybe the reason this here is a mage was a long time ago, lived there, and the remains of his magic helped the village, and that's why they have a village there. Even though it doesn't really make sense. Stuff like, you can make stuff like that, like really weird stuff.
And then something else that I always find very interesting is how the different races and species and different types of creatures are going to interact. Is it a human-only kingdom? Are they at war with another race, another species? Is it a metropolitan giant herb full of different types of people and are there monsters on the fringes? Are there monsters in the city? Is it, just that's kind of like an idea.
Maybe a religion rules the whole thing as sort of one of the gods of your pantheon. That would be also one of the big details to cover, right? To have
if religion is going to play a big part or the deities or
pantheons or philosophies. Maybe you choose to make something very weird and don't have personified gods and just weird stuff.
If you're running warlocks or if you're going to have packs, what are these demonic presences? How are they in play? Is it just something in the background that
Doesn't really matter. Yeah.
or is it going to be something important? And how does that flesh out, like in the world itself? Personally, I like this last approach because then you can kind of see where the story's going and where the party wants to kind of go, and then maybe just do an hour, 2 hours, and have like a quick detail of what you think would be there. And like we've mentioned in videos before, always have like a list of names, like the everyday BS that you're gonna need in a game session to have on hand if you can, and notes and stuff like that.
It sounds like the D approach. You have your set, but you see how the people are vibing, and you change a little bit if needed.
Yeah, always adjust and stuff. Now the third part, which is actually for me the second part, but I put it in third, is drawing out the map, having an actual like a geographical, topographical layout. And do you custom making maps and stuff for your games, or?
I usually just build them like routes, like very simplified maps, like a subway map.
Okay.
Like just the coast is here, and this is so long that it takes like diagrams. I don't really do complicated stuff, actual maps. No.
Oh no, I like.
I mean, school.
The way I do it is usually just scribble a strange form and then decide, I want this to be here, this to be here. What looks empty? What can I add? What goes with like that process of their resources and what they have at hand and all that. But I have seen a lot of videos lately, which I find interesting, which is like a randomized way of doing it, which maybe if we can convince the producers, maybe we can do maybe like one or maybe 2 episodes actually using the process as an example.
Tools. Sure, and I'll show you the way I do my diagrams. So I think they can work together very well. You can have like your actual beautiful map full with details and this more structured, like subway-like approach.
But what's cool about this method is that like you'll grab a whole plethora of dice. Let's say you'll grab green dice, blue dice, brown dice, black dice, different colors, different types of dice within those same colors. And basically you'll just chuck it on a sheet of paper or a big...
whatever falls is how it works.
Yeah, like a big cardboard or whatever you have at hand to draw on. And then based on where that stuff falls, let's say blue will be water sources. So then if it's on the edges, that's like the ocean that wraps around. Cool. And then if it's not, it's a river or a lake. Green would be forest or plains, depending on what you do. And then where all that stuff lands, you would have that actual structure or area. And you determine also like if you want cities or little towns. And then if you have die 4, like let's say, I don't know, I'm just saying, gray die 4s. Those will be your little towns. And then the die 20 will be the capital city. Or you'll have certain dice designated for maybe, what do you call this, like ruins or caves or places of interest, or somewhere an artifact would be, and you just toss it out, you jot it down, you color it in, and that's like your random map.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I thought that'd be kind of cool maybe. Well, and I'm sorry I don't have the name of the actual person, although I've seen a couple different people do it. I don't know who proposed this first, but if we ever do that,
we'll give proper credit.
Yeah. Or if anybody knows who was the first person or persons to do this kind of stuff, leave us the name below and help us save some time looking it up. So yeah, that's I think was kind of cool on making maps. So I mean, I don't know. I enjoy the process of homebrew. Oh, there's another option that was missing my mind, which is appropriating and reusing a different map, which is also valid. For example, now that they're giving out the Greyhawk map and the DMG, you could just take a piece of land or a structure and change the names. I mean, even they say you can do it, so go ahead and do it. That. And you could take something else and then just maybe flip it around
or maybe flip around some maps from actual Earth.
Yeah.
I know maybe, who knows, with the geographical location of all the countries in the Balkans, you can just make them like a continent and put them upside down and nobody will notice.
Yeah.
Do you know the way Macedonia looks?
No.
Of course not. Nobody. I mean, I do. It looks like a fist, but that's because I'm a dork. So,
I mean, so yeah. I mean, if it is, it may sound like a lot of work. It could be a lot of work, but I 100% prefer running like my own game.
Than just following the lead.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun every now and then to do pre-made stuff, but if I can take the time and make something, but then maybe I think too much of what I do. Maybe what I,
Well, it's part of your process. As usual, as a DM, if you enjoy doing this, by all means, like Eugene said, like build stacks of paper. Just be aware. Maybe you won't use the whole thing, but it's fun for you. Do it. It's a creative endeavor. Do it. But yeah, just be aware of that.
Yeah, and have fun. Just enjoy it. Do it.
Yeah, and it's a fun bit. Even as an exercise, doing it once or twice is really fun. That's how I came up with eventually I came up with my scheme of doing like really, really simple sketches. And that's the way I built my map. But it was pretty fun. When players actually needed maps in-game, I had to draw them out of those simplified sketches, which was pretty odd doing it the other way around. But
yeah, but you have it on hand and it helps you out a lot.
yeah, of course. It helps if you have it pre-done in the actual style. But I mean, you cannot take out the designer out of me. So yeah, that's the way it works.
Well, so basically, don't run away from homebrew, making your own worlds, making maps. It's interesting, and give it a try.
Give it a try, and remember, you can do as much as you need, as much as you want, and enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy the process, there's always pre-built stuff you can work with, and you can change that stuff as well. Yeah. So that's the end of the video. If you hadn't already, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and please feel free to leave us your comments, suggestions, and questions below.
Also, follow us on other social media like Instagram, TikTok, and join us on our Discord channel over on the Indie Hobby server. Links in the description.
And as always, remember to
Rage responsibly.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Roll the dice!